This video is about how to build a team. So if you're a solo entrepreneur and you've been doing it yourself and you're looking for the way to build a team, how to find that team, how to go out and find those people who are going to be an amazing team for you, this is the video for you. All right, Ben Hill, we got you on the program. Good to see you.
Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, so we met just pretty recently over in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yeah, it was a blast.
We had a really good time. So we were at a mastermind and we got to hang out and I got to get to know you a little bit. And while we were talking and hanging out, I was really impressed with the way that you build teams and the way that you go find the specific people to market to them to build your team. So let's back up a little bit. What do you tell people when they ask you, what do you do?
When they ask me what do I do at a personal level, I tell them I'm a serial entrepreneur. I do a little bit of everything and scale it to the sky. But in essence, if you really said it, I'm a team builder. I'm really good at finding talent and putting the aces in their places. And through that, I own a few companies, two of which are running without me. The third company is this new real estate investor endeavor, and we are in the process of building out processes and starting our recruiting. So we're excited.
Very good. So a lot of people I've found that are in real estate or beginning in real estate don't realize that it's a business. There's a lot of hype and a lot of getting into it of how much money you can make and the lifestyle and all this kind of thing. But I think a humongous advantage that you have is you already have been building teams and building a business. So you already come in at a tremendous advantage. Let's go back and talk about how you build teams. And it begins at the marketing. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, who is our ideal client? Okay, very similar. We're not going to digress into that. Everybody should know how to market to your customer. But when you're marketing to the person that you want to build your team with, you have to be very granular. Who is the person that we're looking to fill for this position? So, depending upon the business model that you have, you're going to narrow it down for this position. What type of characteristics, what type of qualities, who is this person? And the way we do it and the way the systems that I have built out for my managers to recruit is I have a sheet that we use, and it's called our 5 point, it's our 5 point customer avatar. And what we do is we close our eyes. Okay. I literally visualize this person walking in the door. What does this person look like? How are they dressed? When they shake your hand, is it a firm handshake? Is it a light handshake? Are they a friendly, goofy type of person, or are they more conservative? Are they stern? Are they well put together? So you have to build this person in the back of your mind first. And when you do that, you write it out, write these characteristics out. Because what I'm looking for is the person that matches the culture. Okay. So when I find somebody based on what it is that I'm visualizing, you will know that person the moment they walk in the door because you visualized them. It's like visualizing your goals and your dreams. When it happens, it's like, oh, I've already been here before. Anyways, so we built out the 5 point avatar. We're looking for this exact person. Now, depending upon your business model, we run what we call MAPS, MAPS, marketing, administration, production, and sales. And so, as an example, if we're hiring a production person, a technician, assistant tech, a crew leader, infield supervisor, we already know who that person is because of the 5 point avatar is already pre-built out. All it's a copy and paste method. And so now that we have the avatar built out, we are going to run the ad. Okay. We hear a lot of folks say that Indeed sucks. We run an ad and everything is literally at this point right now for one of my companies, they literally just flip the switch on and turn the ads on because I've already done all the copywriting. But in essence, I'm going to write this ad for the person that I want join the team, the person that I'm looking for. Okay. I've already built it out on paper. I know what they look like. I know how they walk. I know how they talk. I know what their personality is. So now that I know that, I got to make this ad for them to read it. And when they read it, they're like, oh, "This is me." Okay. And so I make the ad just for them. I don't talk about our requirements and this and that. I literally start off by getting them to visualize. Imagine walking into a career that you love, seeing all the smiling faces in the office. You just could not wait to get back. So you understand what I'm saying? So I start off by that. And then I put bullet points. I'm not going to get very granular, but when you're running that ad, you want to make the position look so enticing that by the time they get to the end of it, they're not submitting their resume. They're calling you on the phone because what I do is we use a fear of loss. By the time they get to the end of the ad, we only say we have a limited positions available. So call now. And it always that puts that fear of loss in them, and that's the call to action. But the ad is we talk about our culture. When you come in, it's a high fiving, thriving culture where we walk around, we high five every day. We take trips and we bonuses and Christmas bonuses. And so at any point, so when the position that we're looking to fill, yes, there are a few details. Organized person, a person that is operates high in a high energy environment, organized. I don't hire for skill. Nobody has the skill of soft washing. So we hire for attitude and we hire for the 5 point avatar, and we'll train the skill. Same way with our CRS. We have a customer relationship specialist, which is they wear headsets like this. I'm in one of the cubicles right now, and uh, and literally we train them. So we will train them all the scripts. We'll train them how to use our software. All we're looking for is the attitude, and we want to bring that person on that's going to match our culture. Well, we know what's going to match our culture because we built out the avatar. But that's in an essence, Alex. That's pretty much it. We literally get very granular about who it is we're looking for. We run the ad, not for us, for them to read it, and for them to get excited, like, oh, this is me. I cannot wait to start. So the moment that they walk to that door, what do you think their demeanor is like when we
Excited.
bring them in for an interview?
Yeah, it sounds really
Just
exciting. It
as
sounds like they
an
come in. It sounds like they come in already excited.
100% facts. My general manager ran an ad a couple months ago on Indeed, and a lot of folks say that Indeed's dead. No, it's you need to structure your targeting, and you need to make it about them. He ran an ad. He turned the ad on. He had 447 applicants in 72 hours.
Wow. Holy moly. That's amazing.
That's
And so
wild, isn't
that is wild.
it?
Talk a little bit about, I remember you were saying, and you mentioned it a little bit already, how you connect with the person. Because already it doesn't even sound like any kind of employment ad that I've ever read, where they're saying you need to have this and you need to have that. It's not telling them what they need to have. It's looking for the specific person that already has that's going to connect with your culture and your values of your company already.
Yes, that's correct, 100%. We try to keep things really really simple. One of my biggest There's two ways to say this, Kiss. Keep it short and simple, and we like to dumb it down. Dumb it down to the ridiculous. You go to McDonald's, their process is super simple. They start you out on fries, then they start you out at this, then you go to the line. We try to make it very simple. For every position of our business, everything is dumbed down to the ridiculous. We are simply looking for the person that fits our culture and has an amazing attitude. Based on each position, there's a different type of personality that's needed, but the avatar is built out, so we know when they walk in, and the ad is made for the person that we're looking for. So they're ready to start the moment they come in. All we have to do is just find the best out of those best.
Oh, that's amazing. So we've been talking a lot about your
Did that answer
culture.
that? Did that answer your question?
It sure did. So
Mhm.
talk about, we've been mentioning your
Okay.
culture of your company. So you already have a culture now, but go back and talk about when you were beginning the company and you were beginning to build the culture. How did you imagine the culture and how did you come up with it in your mind and then kind of codify it and solidify it into a specific culture that you want to build into your business? Talk about that from the beginning.
That's a great question. So I played sports pretty much my entire life growing up. And if you can go back, if you're a male listening to this or watching this, and you played sports, go back to the locker room. Okay, go back. Can you remember if you played on a sports team? Can you remember the coach's name that was just a freaking rock star? That guy is who you have to be. Okay, and so
Who the leader of the company
if I
needs
were to
to
go
be.
back all the way to yes, 100%, because at the end of the day, the fish stinks from the head down. Okay. Now, prior to my entrepreneurial endeavors of being a serial entrepreneur owning a few companies, I was in the corporate world. I was a regional service director for a very large company. I don't want to mention it on this podcast, but I learned how not to treat people. I was there for many, many years, made a really good living as a very young leader of the organization. But that it goes back to then. That's why I did so well as being 25 years old at the time was I loved on people. I would always love on them. So when I left there and I started, and this is at the very beginning, when I left to become an entrepreneur, I left there, was there for 12 years. I sat down and I made a commitment to myself and my wife. I said, if we're gonna build this, if we're gonna build a team, we have to make them want to come to work. Okay. The culture that this XYZ company that I worked for did, it wasn't a culture. Now, the culture that I had built in my shops was amazing. I was high fiving and blah, 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 blah. So going back, I said, well, what's going to make us different? And at the end of the day, it was me. I had to be different than anybody else. I had to attract people. I had to attract people because at the end of the day, I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. My first company that does north of 7 figures a year is pressure washing. Now you may ask yourself, well, how the heck do you build a big team on pressure washing, right? And how do you run ads for pressure washing? Because I make it about the person. It's not about me, and it's not about what I want. If I help these people get what they want, I'm going to get what I want. And so, in the very beginning, it was kind of challenging to build a culture because I was learning. I was learning. Okay, it's a little bit different to be a leader in an organization versus being a brand new entrepreneur. But really, what was building systems. Once I figured out how to work on the business and actually build the systems out, like when I was not on the truck, I was building out systems at nighttime. And once I got the core fundamentals of the operation systems built out, like the day to day, what do you do in the morning? What do you do in the evening? What do you do in the day? It really gave me a little bit more freedom. And then once I got that little taste of freedom, is really when I honed in my systems and really when I started casting vision for the future. Where are we going to be at? Multiple locations. Man, it gives me goosebumps. Talk about it. I just got goosebumps. Because I remember starting the pressure washing company in a 10 by 10 barn. And it was so challenging to cast vision in a 10 by 10 barn. And it was like the first 6 or 7 months, it was going into wintertime. People in the wintertime in the mountains, it's snow, it's cold. They're not thinking about pressure washing. But I had a team and I literally just used all my money to keep them employed over the wintertime. And I had to get us out of that 10 by 10 barn on my property. So we got into a little bit larger facility. It did not have running water, but it did have the internet and it did have power. And that's where the systems began. And that's when the culture started thriving. And that's when it all began. I literally put an org chart on the wall. I closed my eyes and I just literally, where do I want to see this? And we made monumental moves every 18 months. We literally almost came close to doubling in size. And it had to do with me, the leader, like being like that, what I like to call is an attractive personality. If you look at all the YouTube channels, the ones that have millions of subscribers, it boils down to the person that's shooting that video. Why? Because they're an attractive personality. And at the end of the day, you can learn all the skill sets on building out the channel, but it's the attractive personality that people fall in love with, that subscribe and can't wait to see the next video. So, and in essence, that's really what I had to do. I had to become a really attractive person in terms of my personality, loving on them, high fiving them, bringing them breakfast, every couple days, inviting their spouses out on dinner. I would take them out on dinner once a week. And that's really where it began. And then once I had a couple trucks on the road, I'd have even more freedom. And at that point, I just scaled up everything, literally org charts, vision, multiple location, wrapping trucks. And I have this, what we call a wall of fame of where the very first shirt that I bought when I was out door knocking was literally just like a polo shirt with an iron-on patch. And then how the shirts have progressed. And then I have the same thing with the first truck with a bunch of stickers on it. Then I wrapped it that looked like I had for lack of better words, a crackhead wrap it, and it looked like terrible. And it gets up into my trucks that are professionally badass wrapped, and the uniforms match the wrap. And so when people come in at this day, at this point right now, they're walking in, they see the culture, they see the org chart, they see the pictures of the location. So and that's really where it began. It began with me being an attractive personality, and just I cast the vision every single day. Man, you're going to be an awesome manager. You're going to be my right hand man, and that's just what I did. And to this day, I still do that with my managers. At this point now, I'm casting a vision at a larger level. And I teach them, I teach all of my managers, you need to be saving your money, you need to be building your credit, you need to be buying assets. Well, now that we've rolled over into this 4T and the investment, my managers will have nest eggs put aside, and I am going to give them equity in deals that I buy. So what am I doing? I'm keeping them for the long haul for the rest of my life. No matter what business I have, they're always going to be with me.
Oh man, that's amazing. Every time I talk to you, there's tons of stuff of books and videos I listen to and things I read. You're an embodiment of all the exact different personal development, business books. It's not just like a thought or an idea. You put every single thing into action and then just watch it work. It's like you trust in the system that you talk about some of the books or some of the mentors or anything like that, anything that you've read where you gathered some of this information, and then talk about how you decided and put it into action.
Every point of the business, I had to have a specific type of mentor. My mentors came and gone because I outpaced them. I'd pay them, I learned it, I got my aha moment, and then I would run with it. And so, if you look at the timeline from the very beginning till now, it was the events that I went to. Um, in the pressure washing in the business, I went to industry events and I found the guys that had the big teams. And again, I would literally pay them for a couple systems, and I would implement it. Now, in terms of books, man, my library, I probably have 150, 200 books. I'm an avid reader. I like to read once a week. I just finished, I tell you a really good book. I just finished it. It's called The Miracle Morning.
Mm.
If you haven't read it, I encourage you to read it. It's freaking awesome. But my vision for where I want to go in my life, I'm just trying to get people on board with me. And so I'm constantly asking myself, who do I need to be? What people do I need to surround myself with? And I, there's not one book that sets it apart, to be honest with you, Alex, because I get little nuggets. Like I'm not a guy that reads a book front to end. I read the book, and when I get the nugget, I highlight it, fold the page, and I go take action on it. And that's pretty much it. Because it's like when I go to an event, I'm looking for one thing that's going to pay for the event, that's going to give me a level up on my competition, and or get myself to the next level. I want to, on a timeline, here, I want to collapse that and speed it up as fast as possible. Um, Honestly, just meeting you, I learned a lot of stuff that you had that we spoke about at the mastermind we just went to. So honestly, it's going to events, picking people's brains, hanging out with people that are 10x where I'm at, and just learning. I just need one nugget, and I just like people, bro. I just love people. That's it.
I love this part you keep mentioning where you're talking about you had to become an attractive person and become a person that people want to be around and work with and spend time with. Because a lot of times, especially in business, I find this in myself constantly that I'm not focusing on that. And then I have to look back and go, well, how come things aren't going as far as like people coming to me with things? And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's exactly that I have to be that attractive person that they want to be around, spend time with, work for, work with, all that kind of thing. It has to be continual. It can't be like I'm going to be attractive for a little while and now I'm going to just go focus on my own thing and forget about all this other stuff. It has to continue and like almost compounding. It's like a compounding attitude that just keeps getting better and better and better. And I see that in you. I see that every time we talk, I see that exact same thing, that it's very consistent and it's compounding constantly.
Let's go back to this because honestly, I'm a high fiver, bro. If you're around me, I'm high fiving you. You
Yeah.
reach your hand out to shake or give me a fist bump. I'm not gonna say I don't do that. We high five. Just that one thing. I don't know what it is about a psychological shift. Start high fiving people. I'm telling you, it's a. You may or may not do that now, but encourage everybody to be like, bro, I high five, and it immediately changes your perspective on how you look at things. And then when people get around Ben Hill, they know they're gonna high five. And so it's just like I built a culture of high fiving, and honestly, I love the high five, and I guess that's what built my personality. But put yourself on a sports team. You know put yourself on a sports team, and be surrounded by your best friends. That's the person that you need to be at all the time. And I have bad days. I'm a little tired today. Worked almost 18 hours yesterday, but I'm still in the office working, grinding it out. But at the same time, for the most part, like love yourself, bro. Like this freaking life that we live on is freaking badass, dude. You're being lucky you're alive, man. We live in America.
Yeah, we do. So my brother is a basketball coach. And so for a while we worked together in real estate and we
Mhm.
had some business together. And so he took all of that coaching and he did that all the time in the office. So you'd see him come in, he'd be in a different town working for a week. And whenever he'd come back in, you could feel the entire energy of the place just start to rise because he's coming in and he's high-fiving everybody exactly like you're talking about. And he took all those same. I love it how you keep going back to how it's like sports. There's a reason that sports teams are good. There's a reason that the coach is the head and the people on the team look up to the coach, just like when I was in that business. And even still I look up to my brother and I that energy he gives and all of that, it's really important. And it's man, every time we talk I'm like, this is something you got to work on, this is something you got to work on. I keep instilling it and remembering it because these are really important parts of everything you do in life, especially if you're going to be in a business. And now let's go back to real estate a little bit. I kind of mentioned it at the beginning, but a lot of people in real estate, whenever we were talking, I felt like you were saying, oh man, I got so far to go in real estate. And there's a thing you don't realize that you're already way ahead of most people because you have to eventually build some sort of team. And that's a big something for me personally. That's always been, I'll get a little bit of progress, go way back, 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, like way forward, way back, in building a team, keeping a team. And so that advantage that you have from the experience of these three companies already, I know there's more than three companies, isn't there? There's just these three now, but there have been more before, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I've beat my head
Serial,
against many brick walls.
Sarah. So let's talk
I've
about that a little bit.
yeah, I
Let's talk about some of the times that it didn't go the way that you planned
whew.
and why. What were some of the causes? What were some of the mistakes that you made? And let's talk about how it doesn't go wrong, how it doesn't go right every single time, and what you wound up changing later.
So if we're going to talk about the previous businesses I've had, I've done multi-level marketing. Um, I think every entrepreneur at one point, did mowed yards.
Yeah.
I've been an
Cutco.
entrepreneur I've been an entrepreneur yeah, absolutely. I've done door-to-door sales. My issue was never, I won't say that because every business I learned a new skill set, which sped up my learning curve for the next business. Um, one of the failures that sets out the most is I did drop shipping back when Facebook ads were really easy, like back in 15 through 17. Um, I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and I was just partying it away. Didn't even think about taxes. I wasn't thinking about anything. Meanwhile, I was still employed, but I just partied it away. And 2 years later, taxman came after me, shut me down, forced me to shut me down. And fortunately, I still had the high paying career and they just garnished my wages. Literally $100,000 a year job. I was only making like 20 grand a year because they were taking every
Wow.
bit of it. They were garnishing my wages. That was one failure. Um, another one was when I was doing MLS. I'm very ruthless when it comes to drive. Um, and when I was doing MLS, I did pretty good. A couple hundred grand a year. But what burnt me was I was stealing people. I was getting into these industry. I was getting into these different groups that were within the group, and I hate to say stealing, but what I was doing was not right. I was going into these other organizations and I was getting them to join my team instead. Um, and then that failed miserably because it ended up coming back and biting me in the ass. And the organization was like, we can't have that. So that was a failure. Um, man, after that, door to door sales, I was a contractor for a company that did canvassing. I created leads for a gutter helmet company by knocking on door. I had a couple minivans, and literally we would set up in the neighborhoods, and we would just drive around and knock doors. Got into some legal issues on that. Got sued all the way up till today. With my service, one of my service companies now, we're in the middle of a couple lawsuits right now. You know, trucks get wrecked all the time. But you know, my managers know not to even call me when that happens. Why? Why do I need to know about that? Are you okay? Right? Before, when I was a new entrepreneur, oh my God, you've wrecked the truck. What? What are you doing? Okay, people are going to make mistakes. Accidents are going to happen. get over it, move on. Um, but what I have learned through all these things is I'm going back to this again, man. It's about the team, bro. Like I care so much about my guys and my team. Um, that I mean, I kind of get emotional about it because these guys will go to battle for me. Um, if I was in public, and this is totally different than what most people are used to, because working for a boss, it's not the same. You know, most people don't have a culture; they're used to clocking in and clocking out. Well, when you build a thriving culture, you know, they don't even call me boss. I don't even allow that. They don't call me sir. They call me coach. Okay, at all the businesses, they call me coach. Coach is here. Um, and at the end of the day, that's what it's been about. Like if I look at all the compilation of all the businesses, it's about the people that you're surrounded. You're only as strong as the guys that you have around you. And you know, I just pour my heart and my soul, and my love into them. And it's worked out great for the lack of better word, for the lack of better words, you know. So we still have lots of challenges ahead of us, you know. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got on that, man.
So let's go back and talk about a couple of those. So the very first one, the drop shipping, that was the one where
Mhm.
you didn't reinvest back into the business. You took it all out and you were partying it away. And then the tax man came. So let's talk about what lesson. We'll go through all the three
Yeah.
you mentioned. What's the lesson you learned from that one and what you could take
Mhm.
away and that you could put as some knowledge that you carried forward?
Um, well, even now, I don't. Even when I scale these other businesses, I don't. We don't do the books. We hire somebody to do the books. Um,
Treat it
we
like a
hire
business.
a bookkeeper to do the books, and then we hire a bookkeeper to do the books, and then hire a CPA to do your taxes, and don't integrate us. A bookkeeper can't do taxes, and a tax person should not be doing your books. So I learned that from the first business significantly.
That's a big one. Treat a business like a business. A lot of times we get going with it, and I've been guilty of this constantly. Well, not constantly, not anymore as much, but treating it like a business. It is a business, and you got to concentrate on it and treat it exactly like that. So let's go to the next one, the multi-level marketing. It sounds like the takeaway. I'm going to tell you what I hear. The takeaway is that you got to have integrity in the business, or it's going to be built on a shaky foundation. Why don't you talk about that? What you felt like you
Mhm.
took away from that?
Holy smokes! So yeah, so that was 100%. You nailed it on the head. Integrity. Our core values here at the Exterior Cleaning Company, Pressure Washing Company, is one of the core values is integrity. And the reason why I have it as integrity is because you gotta do the right things, right, even when nobody's looking, no matter what. And at the end of the day, that's what I took out of that. Um, and it goes back again, like I hate to keep saying this, but it goes back to team. Like, you know, if you're gonna trust your fellow brother beside you, your fellow sister in combat or in your office workplace, I got to be able to trust you with something that I'm going to tell you and not go tell somebody else. I got to be able to trust that when there's a deadline and I'm having to jump on another project that you like, if I need you to do this, I'm not going to micromanage. I just need you to do it right, and that's integrity, doing the right things right because it's the right things to do. Um, Now, with the door knocking, it really wasn't a failure of my own on that one. We created a lot of leads for the company, and they ended up going bankrupt because the guy squandered the money. There was a CFO and a CEO. The CFO was uh, taking lots of money off the table, and but ended up going bankrupt. And so instead of me starting my own thing, just wash my hands because I only had like 5 grand tied up in the vans and it's a bunch of uniforms. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
It sounds like the lesson from that last one is what not to do. And it was sort of the first thing that you did in your very first business of not treating it like a business. And then you got in with another group and they were a larger business. They weren't running it like a business. They were making bad choices. So all that responsibility that you feel for your employees, and I know you don't even like to call your team members, your guys that you work with, all that
Mhm.
responsibility you feel for them, I feel like you probably gained that a lot, or at least strengthened it from being a member on a team wherever the coach wasn't paying attention. The coach wasn't taking the team members into account.
Yeah, everything. It doesn't matter what business that you're in. If you're a solopreneur, I get it. I understand. If you're gonna build a type of business, the team is everything, man. And you're right. I don't call there is such thing as an employee here. The worst you can call them is staff. They're not my staff, the staff, or you say our team. Our team is possessive, and it's not Grant. It's not singular to me. We make the team. Okay, as a leader, you want to be ahead of the team. But I tell all my managers, I'm no more important as you are in this organization. So, but yeah, team for me, honestly, Alex, everything that I could talk about is team, team, team. If you were to walk into the exterior cleaning company, you would think it's an occult. They're like, how the hell is this even? Well, you guys are freaking nuts. But anyways,
Hey man, that's good. Having like a cult, having like a that intense of a team spirit going on. So go back. Let's brag a little bit on your company. You mentioned a little bit of stuff. So the three companies that you're running now, we disclose a
mhm.
little bit of some of the success of some of the numbers, how much is coming in per month, per year, whatever you feel like
Yeah,
disclosing, or any sort
yeah.
of success, how many customers, whatever it is you want to put out.
Yes. So the pressure washer company, multi-truck operation, a couple locations.
How many trucks?
We're doing right now. So we actually just shut the one location down. Right now, we're right at 11 trucks right now. We were at one point at 17, so we're right at 11. Doing almost 200K a month in the exterior cleaning company. Then we have the landscape lighting slash holiday lighting company. Um, It'd blow your mind to tell you the numbers on that, but I mean, it's also a couple $100,000 a month. And then now we have the 4T, which is the investment. We're just getting started on it. I'm 100% full time. I'm back in the saddle. And I tell you a funny story, not a funny story. The reason why I started this company, I know Alex here knows, but for the longest time, these companies have been running without me and like a sewing machine. And I kind of lost my vision. I was sitting around the house drinking beer, eating Cheetos, the good old saying. And, who I am is a passionate, driven, loving person. And if, the old adage goes, the man without a vision shall perish. And that's what was happening to me. And it was on the inside. So, and it was affecting my wife and my relationship. And it's so bad that, we reach out, get some counseling. And my wife just she's like, you know what this is? She's like, you need to start another business. I'm like, you want me to start another business?
You got a
She's like,
soldier
yes.
there.
Like, yeah. So I'm like, well, what other business do you think we ought to start? And she's like, you know what? We have the properties. I think that you would do really well. Let's start investing in real estate. So I thought about it for a couple of days, and I'm like, all right, well, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna go all in. You know what this means? I'm back in the saddle, grinding my ass off 12 to 16 hours a day, creating revenue, so my revenue can feed the beast, and the beast can feed the team. So that's where we're at. I believe we're like 2.5 months in. Obviously, we have a couple mobile homes, but they're in my personal name. We just partnered up. I don't. We partnered up with Chris Rude.
Yeah. Yeah. We met at Chris Rude's mastermind down in Lafayette. We
Yeah,
both went to it. And so I wanted to connect with some more people in this part of real estate. He's more focused on the mobile homes and it kind of crosses over in RV parks, which is my focus. And then what drew you? Let's talk about that. What drew you specifically to Chris Rude's mastermind?
man, that's a great question. So I have invested in some of the courses and in order to get the legal side understanding of it and the contracts and blah 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 blah. But with Chris, he's very similar. Like him and I have a very no bullshit, like straight to the damn point. I'm not sugarcoating shit. If you don't like me, then click off the video or unfriend me, whatever. I don't give a shit. But my wife and I aligned with who he is and Patty. Patty's his wife. And so we just saw the transparency. Um, Very similar to me. He talked about, when he talked about in his videos of being an entrepreneur, having all these oil wash lube places. And I was like, man, I was like, this is me. Like he is a few years older than me. I was like, this is us. I told my wife, I was like, babe, I said, this is us. I said, do you see the success he's had? I said, this is a guy I need to be around. I need to meet him. I need to pay whatever I need to pay to rub with his shoulders. Um, So I finally reached out to him. He was always talking about masterminds, and I didn't realize how big he was. I didn't realize that he's been on TV with Grant Cardone and
Yeah.
has all these books and has massive amounts of success. I didn't realize that after doing a little bit of more homework. And their business model of what they do is very similar to what we want to do. We live here in Western North Carolina, and the mountain's very beautiful. I love it here. And it's a great short-term rental Airbnb VRBO market. And we also have the country surrounding us by a bunch of hicks and rednecks that it's a great mobile home area. So, uh, Nassas, we're gonna do a lot of other things, obviously, but um, learning from him, I pretty much reached out to him and I said, "Hey, listen, Chris, I was like, I want to learn from you. I don't know if you offer this or not." He's like, "Yeah, we got a mastermind. Like, man, send me the link." Well, he sent me the link, and about a week or two went by. I completely forgot about it. I got off rabbit hole into something else probably, but literally it was 2 days or 3 days before the event, and I'm just going through my messages and I saw Chris. I'm like, "Oh, let me check it out." He ended up sending me the link, so I'm like, "Shit!" So I literally I booked my damn flight, got a damn hotel room like 2 days before the event. Fortunately, there was one spot left, so got down there, and it was game changer for me, man. One of the things that I got the most out of it personally being an entrepreneur in other businesses, was the wife thing. Having those women talk at the end was a game changer for me. I literally recorded it and I showed my wife. I will no longer go to another mastermind without her. I don't really go to any other events with either service related business. Not a need for me to at this point. So everything is this new skill set that we're trying to acquire, and new friends and bonds and allies that we're trying to create. So that's what paid for the event. She's on board. We're going to every single event that he hosts. And I just can't wait. The sky's the limit. I'm very grateful that I got to meet you, Alex. You're a solid dude.
Now you're a solid dude too. So let's go back and talk about you mentioned this whenever we talked before about your wife and seeing the other ladies there. Talk about your wife and how she supports you and the example you saw from these other ladies that were there, the wives. And now, you know, this just happens to be kind of a lot of guys that came to this one. And the wives were coming in support. A lot of masterminds, it's kind of equal, men, women, all that kind of thing. This one, for some reason, maybe because of Chris is kind of like brash style or whatever, it kind of appeals to guys that maybe like I grew up in a trailer home. I grew up in a trailer park in West Texas, in Midland, Texas, 2 miles from the
Mm-hmm.
airport. Like I grew up in that. So one of the things he talked about, I'm going to talk a little bit on this one. He talked about, he goes, you entrepreneurs, you guys that are out there starting your own business who didn't have any kind of college education, didn't have anything like that, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, that's only 3%. That's 3% of the population. You're at the you're tiny. That's the reason that you don't connect with a lot of people out there in the world, because you're in a very, very small group, and it's hard to find that other group of people to team up with and to feed off of. And so these masterminds like this one, especially, like I got a ton of value out of just that part. Just personally saying, yeah, man, this is one of the reasons why whenever you get around these people, you get all that energy and all that feeding and feedback and input from people, because they're the other people in this 3%, this very small group that's just willing to just really go for it, roll the dice, all bet all on yourself and make it happen. And so I really got a big thing about a big feedback from that part of the whole mastermind. And I keep hearing you mention this about the wife and the example that you saw from those other ladies that were there. So talk about that some more. What did you find from them and how your wife fits in with them and all that kind of stuff? I really liked hearing you talk about
Oh, man, I could I could write an essay on this.
that.
So there was one lady that stood out to me. Her name is Tavia,
Yeah.
and she is from Canada. My wife is also from Canada.
Oh, wow.
She speaks the same. The women that were there dressed the same. How they presented themselves, the clothing, their makeup, their hair, the same. I'm like, my wife is this woman, and so for the longest time, she's never been to an event with me. Um, she's been to a trade show before, like in the other companies, but in terms of a mastermind, a mastermind's, this is where magic happens. This is where you build your bonds that last a lifetime. But the reason why that I took so much from it was one sentence that was said: when you bring your wife on board, magic happens. And my wife works in the companies that we have, but if I look back at our relationship and I look back at our marriage and I look back at my business, I, for the most part, have always been, I have built this and this is what I have done and blah, 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 in an arrogant way that I should have never done. Since that event, um, I have released all responsibilities to our lighting company to her. And just what she's been able to do in the last couple of weeks has just been unreal. And now she feels way more involved. I told her about this mastermind. I'm all excited. I'm hugging. Our relationship is like freaking awesome because she has skills that I don't have. Right? You have skills that I don't have, and that's what people make us better. Because when you bring a bunch of people together that have different skill sets, you can accomplish anything in the damn world. Why the hell have I not brought my wife to all these events that I go to? And I thought to myself, how much further ahead would we be had I brought my wife to every single event? I'm like, I'm an idiot. I am such an idiot. So with the real estate, you know, she has a very an infectious personality, very infectious. And just imagine the bond that she could build with maybe you or the other women that are there. Like Chris said, the skills get the deals. The women could literally build their own Airbnb empire. But for me, it was just literally just she's got to come. And she needs to be my right wing going into this new endeavor instead of me leading the forefront, me doing everything my own. Hell no. Going forward, she is in there. She's going to be in there taking bumps and scrapes and bruises with me, but we're going to get to the top just like we do with anything else. But that for me, that was my biggest takeaway. Having your wife on board is going to, for me, I know for a fact, no ifs, ands, or buts, it's going to be a game changer for this next company.
I love it. It sounds like you're now applying a lot of the knowledge that you have from your companies into your home because it sounds like you're now kind of putting that coach mentality, that leader mentality a little bit into your home. Does it feel like that to you?
Man, it does. It's funny you said that because if I were to look back in the last 4 or 5 years, I did that in the business, but not really at the house. With my kids, yes, but the most important person in my life outside of my children is my wife. Like I had it all backwards. Like man, if I had her on the team, how much bigger of a team could we have built?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to get that lieutenant on with you, that soldier.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, she can be the captain of the ship, and I'll be the lieutenant.
I love it. Well, we've talked for a little bit now. I want to give you a chance to because I know you're launching something also a little bit new, which is you're doing some internet marketing courses because everything that you've learned, we didn't really even talk too much about this. The way that you promote your businesses as far as writing the copy and developing the avatar and all that has become a whole new skill set just in building your team and in advertising your businesses. So you're teaching that now, is that correct?
Actually, we've already done enough sales to pay for that event that I just went to, by the way. So the
Awesome.
guy, what was his name? The guy that wore I don't know why. I mean, if I pulled it up on Facebook, I can find the guy that wore the gold presidential Rolex. What was his name?
Matt Larson.
There you go. I don't know why I can't remember that name. When I looked him up and I added him on Facebook, he was doing something I wasn't doing. He had a great brand. Like he branded himself very well, but he had this site called Linktree. I'm like, I've got this big following on YouTube with my pressure washing company, but I don't really shoot videos on it anymore. But I'm like, why don't I do that now? I have learned stuff. And when you and I had this conversation about the Google ads and the Facebook ads, I'm like, why don't, and I literally even talked about it on the video. I'm like, why don't I take what's out of my head and just record my screen and allow people to buy what's in my head? So that's what we've done. I literally took it out of my head, shot a video on it, put it on Samcart, and sent it out to my email list, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram, and making money overnight. You have to keep up with. So that's something I won't touch on. But in terms of the Google ads is so easy. It really is, in my opinion, it is. Anyways, it's all about your negative keyword list and structuring your ads right. I'm going to say that again. The negative keyword list is where your money's at, so you don't pay when somebody searches a term. But yeah, I'm doing it a little bit. I'm not, my wife just asked me if I should start a media company. That's not my passion, man. My passion is just loving on people, man. I'm at a stage in my life where, the next couple of years, I've got what I want, man. Um, I'm gonna, buy a bunch of real estate, and then I'm gonna teach the people that while I'm buying real estate, I'm taking my managers with me. I'm gonna buy a bunch of real estate and bring a lot of people with me, and we're going to get wealthy. And that's it. I just
See,
want to help people from this point on.
see, that's amazing because you've already got team members on one team, and the top players can come over and be with you on a new team, and they don't even have to leave their old team. This can be a side thing. This can be more not so much of a side thing, but like they can be building as they're still working at your original company.
Yeah.
That's an amazing way to
So,
set it up.
yeah, I at this point again, as I've said, I just want to give back. I don't want to hang around people, man, and and give back. And obviously, I got to charge something for it because those who don't pay attention.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
that's why. I mean, that's what I've learned. So
So let's go ahead and promote it. What's the there's a link out there in there so where people can go, and it's really very inexpensive for the quality of what you're putting out, the knowledge you're putting out. It's very inexpensive to go sign up for
mhm.
this course. Talk about it. What's the cost of it, and where can people go and
Yeah.
find information?
So it's really not a course. It's just a simple video. It's a step-by-step, click-by-click video. It's really designed for the pressure washing industry. But if you watch the video, you just change out the keywords with what you're searching. You can find me on Linktree /entrepreneur Ben. I've got a few links on there. I have some real estate stuff. I have the negative keyword list, but that's for my industry specific. But the course is just a single video. Sam Card's $347. Negative keyword list is $247. And really, the thing that the video I believe is 38 minutes long. I go in depth on the video, like every for the campaign, how to structure your campaign, what you need to be working on. And then once you maximize that, once you get good at this specific campaign, it's a search campaign. Um, Once you get good at that, reach back out to me. I'll shoot another video on setting up all the campaigns because when you search, you need to be everywhere. If you hit any of my pages on any of my industry, my service companies, if you hit a web page, um, I have things set up in place where it's fired off by a pixel through Zapier where a postcard gets sent in the mail to them. All they have to do is hit the website and a postcard gets sent. And then my Facebook ads are going to follow them around, and then my YouTube ads are going to follow them around. Banner ads, so you'll literally see my ads. We have an infinity ads, so most people ads end in 30 days. We keep following them around as long as we possibly can. But it all starts with the Google ads. Google is king. If you're not on Google and you're not dominating the low hanging fruit, you're really missing out on a lot. Like we do just in the exterior cleaning company, we do like 50 grand a month just off of just Google ads. That's it. So that's what I
That's
got for that. And if you're interested, reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you in any way I can.
that's amazing. I'll put some links in the show notes so that people can find you. So go back and let's talk about the details of that. It's been only about 2 weeks since the mastermind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So within
Yeah.
2 weeks, you found something you wanted to do, you took action on it, you recorded a video, you put it out to the market, and you already made enough within 2 weeks to pay for the mastermind. I want to ask how much you've made on it already in only 2 weeks, but we paid $5,000 to go to this mastermind. So you've made more than that
Yeah.
in 2 weeks on something you took action on at the mastermind.
You know,
That's amazing.
I don't like to be like I just like to I love to learn, and like when I find something, it's like my notepad. Where's my notepad? Like I always have notepads there when I'm like writing it down. Okay, I need to find this person. I need to do this, and I rabbit hole, and I don't. So when I rabbit hole, I finish it, then I got to do the next thing. Do the next thing. Um, but I feel like I'm just like a normal entrepreneur. I feel like I can't move on to the next thing until I get it done. Just it took me 2.5 days straight to figure out Samcart and how to connect Linktree and how to set it up. And then I set up an Amazon store, and it took me about 3 days. And once I did, I fired it off, and we had like 6 sales the first freaking night.
Man, that ability of yours to focus like that, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's you're saying you think you're like a regular entrepreneur. That's not correct. You're in a top level of entrepreneur. Being able to focus on one thing, not get the shiny penny syndrome, and not go chasing, sparkly things that are going to distract, and being able to drill down on one skill, one part of the business, one little, because a lot of those are like tiny parts of the business. And a lot of times we think of them like they're low leverage parts of the business. Setting up the Sam cart, setting up and linking it to the Linktree in the Amazon store. I should be able to hire somebody to do that. The time that you're looking to hire somebody to do it, you already figured out how to set it up. And since it took you 2 days, I know how that goes. It's like, it's not as easy to just, you click right on and you set it up. There's a lot of things that have to go together, and this API doesn't go with that. So you got to figure out how to, and then you go buy another little link system to go in between so that it all works together. And you got to pay this fee over here and that fee over there. And before you know it, after 2 days of just focusing on that, it's done. It's recorded, it's out to the market, and people are paying for it, and that money's in your bank account. That's a higher level of entrepreneur that you're not a regular, just like everybody else entrepreneur. You're operating at a top level.
So I could have paid somebody, but at the same time, it would have took me just the same amount of time of researching to find the right person to do the thing that does the thing that does that. Well, I do have some skill sets on the internet and how to link things together, but when I get excited about something, I don't want to. I just want to do it. I got to do it. I don't have time to let me just do it. Let me do it. Let me do it. Get out of my way. I want to get it done. And then it gets done, and I get this big dopamine rush. It's like hell, dude, I can't explain it. When I do something that I'm learning and I can't figure it out, and I'm like GD blah blah. And when I figure it out and I got everything done, I'm like, yes, my first sale was so awesome, man. It was like, yeah. But in actuality, I knew that I was going to set it up, but it was like, man, that was actually pretty easy.
Man, that's amazing. That's your superpower. That being excited about it causes the acetylcholine to be able to focus, and that is a superpower you have. That's really good.
Yes, sir.
That's
well, I
really, really
appreciate it.
good.
I certainly do.
All right, so I'm going to put some connection links in the show notes so that you can contact Entrepreneur Ben Hill, and you're in North Carolina, in
Yep,
Asheville,
Asheville,
right?
North Carolina.
That's right.
Yes, that's correct. Asheville, North Carolina, Western North Carolina. If you haven't been, wherever you're watching this or you're listening to this, we live in the area where the Biltmore House is. Western North Carolina is absolutely beautiful. If your kids like hiking, camping, hunting, fishing, it's all here. It's all here.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you the last word. Why don't you, say you were writing a book of your life and all the lessons and all that kind of stuff, and it's hard to come up with the one thing, but why don't you give us one thing that you want to pass on to people, that after you're gone, some knowledge that you want to still be in existence after you, that you can pass on out to the world here today?
I never even thought about that, to tell you the truth. Everything that I'm doing is for my kids, and I am leaving a legacy, and I do have these videos for them to fall back on and look at. But in just one in terms of just one thing, honestly, I showed you my tattoo. It's that, and I got it tattooed on my wrist. It says "I am the one." Honestly, I think that's the biggest thing that I could ever to teach even my team is I am the one. It's so important that you look yourself in the mirror and tell all the results that you're getting in your life are 100% your responsibility. You are the one that causes the failure. You are the one that causes the success. You are the one that could change your family tree. You are the one that could make your family tree broke. But start every day with a freaking awesome attitude. Love people. I am the one. That's why I tattooed that on myself, to remind myself every day, success taxes is due. Nothing is owed to me. Get off your ass and go get it. So look yourself in the mirror. I am the one. Be an awesome personality and love people. Build a team, because if you can build a team, your value to the world is far more significant than somebody that just has a skill set of doing the thing. If you can build a team of a bunch of people that can do the thing, you're going to be very wealthy.
Man, you are awesome. I've gotten a great deal out of this. I hope everybody else has too. We're going to cut it off for today. Good to see you, Ben.
Good to see you, brother. We'll see you December 3rd. Are you going to that event?
Probably not. I got to go to the next one. You might be able to talk me into the one, to that one.
Reach out to me, brother.
All right. Take care.
All right, my friend. Good to see you.
Good to see you.